And to my understanding, a lot of candidates were not contacted by the state officials from the Executive Council, Executive Board of the Republican Party in Massachusetts. And I would hope to change that if I became chair. So I've told you about my roots, some of my education, experience in the private sector, and my Republican activism. And I'd like to speak to you a little bit about my plan for the Republican Party here in Massachusetts going forward. It's like a three-part plan. The first is recruitment and grassroots, recruitment of the grassroots and committee members. What I mean here is that as we go into our committees and our communities, we're always on the hunt, recruiting members for to join the Republican ranks. If you're among issue group people who are right of center, they belong to regional organizations or statewide organizations based on certain issues that Republicans tend to gravitate to, we need to get with those people and start to encourage them to become part of the Republican Party. We also need to go into our committees where there's established Republican members and continue to encourage them to stay part of the committee, because a lot of people get discouraged. We've had a lot of losses and so forth. Sometimes there's infighting and we lose membership. And it's unfortunate in Massachusetts and California we lose population because the Republicans and the people of responsibility are tired of paying the bills, so they get out. So it's getting harder and harder for us to get traction. And so we need to go into these grassroots organizations. We need to read the papers for letters to the editor. And the issues I'm speaking to are related to some of the social causes, property rights, freedoms and liberties. I think we have a natural tendency towards these issues, and we should seek people out and get them into the Republican ranks. Often they're independents. They're not really politically motivated and part of committee membership, and we need to change that. We need to seek their approval and endorsement. So we should have them, like us and say, okay, I agree with where you're going with this. I endorse you. I support you. And so we need to ask for commitments for them to be involved for approvals and endorsements of us. And then we need to build coalitions between those committee organizations at the local level that we're involved with here and the grassroots organizations. So we need to cross-pollinate kind of laterally so people will get to know each other in fellowship, and then we can also vertically get to know people. We need to be more active and have a sense of urgency, and we can all do it. This is not rocket science. These are just people skills, and I would assume that just about everybody in here tonight has good people skills, having been involved in politics. This effort will expand the voter constituencies for us, because if you're bringing in new membership through grassroots organizations, issue groups, and you're enhancing your own membership and encouraging people to stay involved, you're going to build those forces, and you're going to create a pool of qualified candidates to run for public office, from dog catcher to state rep to maybe a statewide race. And so as long as it's a numbers game, we increase our numbers, we educate, we train, and we keep people involved. And we also build the voter constituency, because when the voters see us adding value, bringing more people into our committees, we have larger numbers, we fill this whole hall, and we have some free press there to cover what we're doing. People get excited, and we're going to increase our voter constituency base. I also believe we ought to appeal to independents and the Reagan Democrats. So we need to look for these populist constituencies. In the Republican ranks, we ran a lot of people for president. A lot of good men ran for president. Unfortunately, no women this time out, but a lot of good men with skills. Okay? Everybody from Mitt Romney to Duncan Hunter. These were all good men, and they're all capable, and I would feel confident with any one of them in our government in various capacities. And you look at candidates like Ron Paul, Duncan Hunter, Sarah Palin, Mike Huckabee, okay? These folks are more populist. They appeal to the working class, the populace. I think if we need to find ways to reach out and appeal to that working class, to the populist vote, independents and Reagan Democrats, and the tendency really is to feel their pain, to understand where they're coming from, the businesses they're involved with, the economy they're dealing with, the families they're raising. So if we can do this, I think it will be very appealing. I went to a rally up in New Hampshire for Mike Huckabee, and I was actually in support of Duncan Hunter early on, and I was probably the only guy with a Duncan Hunter sticker on my car in Western Massachusetts. But in any case, there was something about that guy I really loved, and I supported him till he got out. And then I supported a few other guys all the way up to John McCain when we had to take care of business. So I went to a Mike Huckabee rally, and it was just totally amazing, the people he brought out into this middle school in New Hampshire. They were just regular folks across the board, families poured into the auditorium, kids, adults, single people, men and women. It was a diverse crowd ethnically, and they helped raise money for local charities, which was awesome. He had Chuck Norris on stage. He played the bass guitar in the high school band. It was great stuff, and I think we really need to appeal to that. Mike Huckabee didn't have all the money in the world, but he did a pretty good job. Some people might say he caused Mitt Romney to fall out of the race. I don't think that's the case. We could save that discussion for another time. We also need to the second item here, besides recruitment and bringing in the grassroots and committee members, is having a principled approach grounded in true republicanism, and this is very, very important. And as leader of this state GOP, I would bring that principled approach. I think we need to emphasize daily limited and smaller government, because government is not our friend most of the times. And we need to have lower taxes. Right? Everything is just too expensive for us. We need to fight, like the property tax abatement workshops that I help organize. We're fighting. The local government, which I work for, doesn't like it, but hey, that's too bad. We have a voice, and we should get out there and we should fight. We should uphold core constitutional principles and for individual freedoms and liberties. The Constitution is designed to protect each and every one of us. The statute that the state passes, all these different laws with 6,000 to 8,000 bills per year, that's to encroach upon our freedoms and principles. Okay, those laws encroach upon us. They take away our freedoms and liberty. The Constitution protects us. So we should uphold constitutional principles. I do not believe in a living document constitution. Forget it. It is what it is, and we need to uphold that for each and every one of us. For instance, we should protect gun ownership. I wish all of you in here tonight, if you're qualified to own a gun, you would have one, either on your person or in your home, to defend yourself and your family. Okay, and I will fight for your right to have gun ownership. And property rights are very important. We shouldn't be pushed and forced out of our homes. We should fight for each other. If a neighbor is losing their home, we ought to find out why that's happening and fight for property rights. And of course, free enterprise and trade, fair trade. I worked in the business community for 6 to 7 years in the 90s, and sales and marketing, and I was doing frontline kind of work with machine tools and manufacturing supplies and so forth. And what I've seen of business is we need to have that free enterprise, and we have to have fair trade, because the business I was in was a very mature business, and it started to decline while I was in it. And I got out because it was just not going anywhere. We're shipping everything overseas, and it's very sad and unfortunate. So as Republicans, I think we should uphold those principles. We should fight every day for them. Some things, in addition to item 2 of establishing these principles, this is in regard to how we advance our party forward. We should seek and promote nonpartisan good government initiatives, like I mentioned, the Pioneer Institute and Citizens for Limited Taxation. We should field multiple statewide state representative candidates And I don't, you know, we shouldn't just run a few candidates at the top who we think might win because they're more viable and they have a lot of money. We should run as many state rep candidates across this Commonwealth as we can.